Let me tell you a story about kindness, about change, and about a child nobody wanted. In a small, quiet village, there lived a poor woman. Her life had not been easy, and over time she had fallen into bad habits. People in the village didn't respect her. In fact, many of them avoided her, judged her, even spoke harshly about her. And then, one day, she died. She died suddenly, right at the doorway of her own broken house, leaving behind her 3 young children. Now, something interesting happened. The same people who once criticized her, the same people who had no sympathy for her while she lived, now they felt pity, because death has a strange way of touching human hearts. Neighbors gathered quickly. Some brought food, some brought clothes. Others came just to see what had happened. Inside the small broken house were the 3 children. John, the eldest, was about 12, strong enough to work. Kate, the second, was around 10, bright and active. And then there was Maggie, little Maggie, the youngest. She was very sick. 2 years earlier, she had fallen from a window, and since then she couldn't walk. She had been lying in bed ever since, weak, thin, and helpless. Soon the villagers began asking, "What will we do with the children?" It didn't take long to decide for the first 2. A farmer said, "I'll take John. He can work." A woman said, "I'll take Kate. She can help me at home." And just like that, they were taken away. But Maggie, no one said a word. No one offered to take her. People looked at her with pity, yes, but they also looked away. Because she was sick, because she couldn't walk, because she would be a burden. Someone finally said, "Send her to the poorhouse." Another person replied, "That's no place for a child." But still, no one stepped forward. The next day, the mother was buried. After that, everyone left. John was gone, Kate was gone, and Maggie was left alone. Imagine that moment, a weak little girl lying in bed in a broken house, watching the last person walk out the door. Silence, fear, loneliness. But just outside the house stood a man. His name was Joe Thompson. He was a wheelwright, a man who fixed carts and wagons. He looked rough, spoke simply, but inside, he had a kind heart. He paused at the door. Something didn't feel right. He turned back and walked inside. There was Maggie, trying to sit up, her small body shaking with effort. She looked at him, her eyes filled with fear, and she said, "Please, don't leave me here alone." That one sentence changed everything. Joe walked over to her, gently, carefully, and said, "No, dear, you won't be alone." He wrapped her in a blanket, lifted her in his arms, and carried her out of that house. Now, Joe had a problem. His wife, she was not a kind woman. She had a sharp temper and didn't like trouble. As Joe walked home carrying Maggie, he knew this would not be easy. When his wife saw him, she immediately became angry. "What have you brought here?" she demanded. Joe didn't argue. He simply took Maggie inside, laid her on a bed, and then spoke calmly. "We'll keep her, just for tonight." That night, something began to change. Joe's wife went into Maggie's room. She saw a small, fragile child lying quietly, with tired eyes and a soft, patient face. She brought her food, and as Maggie ate, she looked up with such deep gratitude, such pure thankfulness, that it touched something long forgotten in the woman's heart. The next morning, Joe said, "I'll take her to the poorhouse today." But his wife, after a moment, replied, "Let her stay a few more days." A few days became a week became forever. Maggie never left, and slowly, everything changed. The house that once felt cold and unhappy began to feel warm. Joe's wife, who had once been harsh, became gentle. She cared for Maggie, fed her, talked to her, sat beside her, and Maggie filled their home with love. It's strange, isn't it? The child nobody wanted, the child everyone avoided, became the greatest blessing. Joe later felt it deeply. It was as if an angel had come into his home, not a strong angel, not a perfect one, but a weak, sick, helpless child who taught them how to love. And maybe that's the lesson. Sometimes the people we ignore, the ones we think are burdens, are the very ones who change our lives forever. Thank you.